You know, it's good to take advantage of the rain while you can. It's beautiful weather for recording. You know, the reason I made this channel is because I need something to document my progress as I enter the second half of my work in progress. See, I'm writing a book. I'm going to tell you what it's about at some point. Several people already do know. And, well, most people don't. And so I figure, now how do I get the message out there as best as possible so as many people care as possible? And the solution I came across was to tell you how I became a writer. I am Ed, and I come to edify. Now, it's story time. Yeah? They're nice coffee. Come, sit. Right here. Actually, you know what? I'll do you one better. I'm going to make you manifest. Not in that, hoo-ha way that you see all these spiritual people online doing. No. To make manifest is to make physical, to make visible what would otherwise be invisible. And so to do that, this is you. Hi. How you doing? The year is 2024. It's around summer. And I'm on a trip to Miami with my dad. Now, we're going off submitting our papers for Spanish citizenship, and this is through something called the Ley de Memoria Democrática. And this is a law that they passed several years ago over in Spain that lets descendants of refugees who were kicked out of Spain by Franco, and it lets them reapply for citizenship if they can prove they have actual descendancy from these people. And so my grandparents, they got in first, and then my dad and I figured, hey, we may as well take advantage of this. Let's go to Miami, down to the consulate, and do it. And so we did. And that's besides the point. During this trip, we came upon a place called Villa Vizcaya. And it is a very, very opulent Jazz Age mansion right on the coast. It's right on the harbor of the bay. It's beautiful. It's got beautiful gardens. It's beautifully designed. And I hope you don't grill me for this too often, but it was there that I got the idea to write a murder mystery. And this is, I've been wanting to write a book for several years, and this was perhaps the first serious idea that came to my mind. The first one I took seriously enough to start outlining with, to start actually trying to form into a real book. Mind you, it's not what I'm writing now. It's just something I wanted to put out there. And so this book, it would have been a very experimental piece, to put it lightly. The year is 1924, the night of April 8th, Villa Vizcaya, and it's owned by the fictional Lawrence Glover, CEO of Glover Automobiles. And he's celebrating the 50th anniversary of his company's opening. There are 150 people present at the party, 150 guests, including himself and his family, plus 40 to 42 live-in staff. Now, the thing about this book was that each and every person was going to have their own POV, at least one chapter, maybe a maximum of two. They were all going to be interconnected in such a way that it made that single evening as interesting as possible. I love working with multiple POVs. Just having that dissonance in what one person understands that the other person doesn't, that one person knows that the other doesn't. It's really, really fun to work with. And so I ended up coming up with maybe 4 different plot through lines in the beginning of a 5th before I got burned out. Maybe I'll revisit the idea sometime in the future, but I'm not sure 400 chapters is the thing for everybody, especially not for a freaking murder mystery. But the urge to write something never actually left. Let's fast forward a good 2 months. My English teacher from the previous semester had introduced me to a site called Webtoons. This is for a school project, a class project, and well, she got me hooked onto Lore Olympus. It was a phenomenal cartoon that is like a retelling of Hades and Persephone in like a modern setting. It's really cool. And so I went off, looking at similar webtoons, going to, other places on the site. And it was there that I found one that really intrigued me. It was called The Greatest Estate Developer. You can check it out on Webtoon. It's amazing. It's about a South Korean engineer who gets isekai'd into his favorite fantasy manhwa, and he becomes a titan of industry for the sole purpose of getting as rich as possible so he can be as lazy as possible. Can you imagine that? That's an awesome character to work with. It was awesome to read about. And it left it left a pretty big mark on me as I was trying to figure out what to write. And it was pretty close to there that I decided, hey, you know what? Why don't I write about an engineer too? But he doesn't get isekai'd into a fantasy world. No, he's already, let's say he's already in a fantasy world. Let's say he's from the Roman Empire, or something like it. And then he gets sent 250 years in the future. So this is like post-Byzantine Gothic kingdoms that he wakes up to. And so his gleaming utopia homeland, the image in my mind was that it's just these moss-covered ribs jutting out from the hillside. That's it. That's all he has. Imagine that. Now that's a little closer to the thing I'm working on now. And hold on. Let me reclaim my train of thought here. Vanilla lavender is good. I ended up naming the engineer Leonidas. That's not his final name, but I thought it was pretty cool. I thought, let's have him learn something having to do with pride, pride and humility. Let's have him try and learn the language of the new inhabitants of his world and see if he can get him to work for him, essentially, to become like a real, genuine leader, like a father figure to these people. Yeah, and there's a little something else. And what else? And I asked myself, what would happen if the person who made the world as barbaric as it is today was his wife that he left behind at home? And there's something else. And I think we're coming up on time. So, yeah, in my very obvious watch. So you know what? You're gonna have to stay tuned. The rain's clearing up. So, I'll see you next time. How about that?